when you struggle with anxiety, you feel like there's a part of you that is missing or broken or not in alignment with your faith, because you know, as a believer, you're not supposed to worry. You're not supposed to give in to fear. And yet you find yourself with the disconnect between your head and your heart. And so I had been asking the Lord to really work in that area of life. And I came across a verse where it talks about God making us holy and whole, putting us together, spirit, soul, and body, and keeping us together until the Lord comes. And that was such an aha moment of realizing I don't have to make myself holy. I don't have to make myself whole. I don't even have to somehow pull myself up by the bootstraps and make myself well. I can trust God to do that work within me, because it says He is the one making us holy and whole, spirit, soul, and body. So He's bringing that harmony between my thoughts and emotions, my physical body, my faith life, my family, my relationships, and that brings it down to the moment level, choosing to walk in who He says we are in the moment.
And so we stretch that out as we talk about the word holy, and then holy in the moment. And you mentioned another word I want to kind of seize on here, and that is choosing, because releasing that power of holiness really is a choice, allowing the nature of God to be activated in and through us. So how do you really see that people can capture that concept of being in the moment, if you will?
It does have everything to do with choice, but before you can make a choice, you have to be aware that you have a choice. You have to be aware of where you are and what you're experiencing and what kind of muck you might be in the middle of. And so beginning to understand that I have the ability to think about my thoughts. Is what I'm thinking true? Or am I simply responding to the messages of my emotions and letting my emotions define truth for me? And so oftentimes I was letting emotions drive the moment. And I think we've all struggled with that at times, but realizing in the moment, because that's where you can do something. You can't do something yesterday and you can't do something tomorrow. Right now, right here is when we can act and make choices and change and experience God working. And so being able to choose in the moment what God says is true, to act like who God says I am rather than how I feel, to choose to give love rather than frustration, to choose to trust God rather than to give in to anxiety or fear. In the moment, that's much more doable than trying to fix yourself and do it right forever.
Let's talk about that element of emotion for a bit. When you're talking about being emotional and making decisions on how you feel, or allowing our emotions to control us rather than us to control our emotions. Certainly, you're not saying that we should be completely non-emotional,
No.
but we have to surrender those emotions to Christ. So how does a believer really capture that concept of really bringing emotions under the power of the Spirit? Kind of related to the fruit of the Spirit being self-controlled.
I think, first of all, it is honesty and authenticity. Being willing to experience your emotions, because I was a stuffer. I did not want to experience hard emotions, and so I would just kind of stuff them down, ignore issues, deny things, and just move on and put my happy face on.
Mm-hmm.
And because that's sometimes, I had this impression that's what good military wives do. We just move forward and we go and do. And there's a time where you can't stuff it anymore. It starts leaking out of you in frustration or anxiety or depression or anger, or, we're all a little different in how those emotions start having really a strong influence in us, and we don't realize it sometimes. And so being able to realize that, first of all, I need to recognize my emotions. I need to experience them with the Lord. I don't have to hide that from the Lord. If I'm upset about something, now I'm learning to take that to the Lord and just say, Lord, I'm so upset. I'm just going to experience that with you. And would you give me insight into what I'm feeling and show me, here's the really important question, what is this really about? And what do you say is true? And that changes our perspectives, and it opens the door for God to give us wisdom and truth and insight, which gives us the power to make a different choice.